So you guys, you've been together for quite some time. Tell us how you formed.
We met at school, didn't we? We met at school and we just started just playing in kind of like cover bands.
So how long have you been together then overall? How many years?
10.
10 years?
Pretty much 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
The 1975, that's a story that's been quite romanticised. And I didn't think it would ever become a story that was to define me so much, but it was just, I was on holiday when I was like 19 in Mallorca, just with my family and stuff. And there was this artist who lived in the village and he was like selling all of his stuff outside of his house. And I just befriended him. I kind of spent a couple of days hanging out with him. And then he gave me loads of literature when I left. Not loads, but a couple of books. And I ended up reading one of them when I got home, and it had been treated as like a diary, this book, by a previous owner. I never knew who it was, but there was scribblings all over the book, and it was dated 1st of June, the 1975. And I think the use of the word "the" preceding 1975 was quite jarring, and it wasn't necessarily like haunting or particularly interesting. It was just something that stuck with me. The origins were that we just started. There was like this little thing that started happening in our town. I'd just moved to Manchester I grew up in the very north of the country. When I moved, I went to high school, and there was this kind of thing that was going on where the council were like letting old people's kind of bingo halls be used by kids to go and like start bands. And after it had started for like a couple of weeks, it became this real like scene. And everyone started like making punk bands, and then by the end, like our whole social group orientated around this kind of scene. It was really cool because we're from like quite a middle class, boring area. And we just started there really at 14. And the kind of how fun it was and stuff like that. It really carried the whole thing for so long. The fact that we realised we could be like genuinely creative but also really indulgent at the same time, it was like the most fun we could have. It was fun. Like, we started a band for fun at 13. We didn't start as like four boys who wanted to be in a band. You look at bands like that, like Razorlight or something. When they made their second album, none of them were in the studio together. They did everything separately. You know what I mean? That's a band that wanted to be a band because they wanted to be a band. They wanted girls to like them. They wanted to be successful. They wanted that kind of thing. We didn't. We just wanted to have fun and get everyone else to leave us alone. And I think that we've always carried that attitude. So it's fun for us. It's always. I left at school when I was about 16. Like, just kind of used to just make music, and you know, we're from quite like a middle class environment. Not loads of money, not no money. And having quite open-minded parents meant that, you know, it was all right for us. We weren't thinking, oh, we need to sort our lives out, because we were like 20, just stoners in a band, having enough money to feed ourselves and not annoyed our parents. When it got to 22, 23, it was funny that we probably wouldn't have been able to get away with it for much longer. To get playing together for 10 years, but behind closed doors, that we'd never put a record out or tried to be a big band or anything. We'd only just made music and played shows with our mates' bands, and, you know, played in Manchester and stuff. We hadn't really looked outside of that.
So it wasn't like you were trying for 10 years and you were failing.
Not at all. There was a time around about 2011 where record labels started getting interested in us, and then we fundamentally did not get signed. There was kind of this time where we weren't getting signed, and that kind of became the catalyst for us to just do it ourselves. So our manager made his own label.
It was just a MySpace page with music on it. And for some reason or another, some girl who followed another band or something had met our manager and told him about our MySpace page, and he'd checked it out and it was rubbish. So he thought, well, that's rubbish. He then sent us an email asking if we had any new material, and we'd actually just come out of the studio and we'd recorded Robbers. We sent it to him. I'm 18? And then this guy, this grown-up, started ringing me all the time saying, can I come and meet you? Can I come and meet you? And I was thinking, like, yeah, if you want, but I've got like school and, you know, it didn't seem very realistic. And then Jamie turned up in his BMW and his Barber jacket, and he was like, I want to manage you. And we didn't know what that meant. We were like, what do you mean? And I think the first question he said, I want to be your manager. And my first question, I thought was being savvy. I said, how much does it cost? He said, it doesn't quite work like that, mate, but I think you guys could be one of the biggest bands in the world. And I mean, he said that to us. And this was a grown-up. We'd been through no processes of qualification. We'd been validated by no one apart from my dad. So to have somebody who obviously had more than 30 quid telling us that we were going to be a massive band, we believed him.
All right, my next guests are from Manchester, England. They're here tonight to perform a song from their forthcoming album, which goes on sale September 3rd. And tomorrow night, they'll be appearing at the Troubadour in West Hollywood. Please welcome the 1975.
We never really knew whether we were going to get the opportunity whether it be a financial investment or an emotional investment enough in our band in order to spend the time and the money on creating the debut album that we always wanted to do. Like the material on our debut album, that precedes all of the material on the EPs. The EPs were written after it as a prelude to the album. So
did you want to build the momentum to... Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't even momentum, really. It wasn't like making sure the band was big enough. It was just making sure that we had enough of a wealth of material so people could emotionally invest in the band and the music before we gave away...
Yeah, the album's quite big and kind of daunting and
very personal.
Possibly confusing, I guess, if you'd never heard of our band.
In terms of the record, it's quite big. It's quite ambitious. It's kind of romantic and just big kind of dressed up pop songs. Really,
there's a big stylistic polarity in everything that we do. I think it's expected of us for the album to sound slightly different from the other stuff. I wouldn't say sonically it sounds much different from the songs Chocolate or City or Sex, but stylistically, like everything, song to song, it's all different. And again, we kind of wanted to make one of those records, like one of the best pop records from the 80s, you know, like Michael Jackson on Bad or Peter Gabriel's So or Face Value by Phil Collins. That was kind of the vibe we wanted to do. We didn't pull any punches. We didn't think, oh, we need to be a bit cool, we can't be this big. We just thought we'd just do exactly what we want.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to make a long album. There's 16 tracks on the album. So.
Pop music, there needs to be a certain je ne sais quoi about the music, right? Whether it's the narrative, whether it's the lyrics or the music or something, if it doesn't take you somewhere immediately, then it'll be lost on you. And that's our rule. If it makes you want to cry, if it makes you want to dance, or if it makes you want to laugh, then you hold on to it. I think searching, I've said it before a couple of times, like searching within oneself to acquire a true understanding of who you want to project or what you want to project.
Were you able to find that?
Well, that's something that a lot of people can relate to, so I don't think I needed to find it. I think just the expression of that idea is really, really relatable because people, they know how that feels. They know how it feels to not really know who you are or what you're doing, and I know how that feels. I think with this record, it's quite sweet because it is a very self-deprecating, kind of neurotic, searching record in its narrative. The album ended up being like a scrapbook, you know, of conversations and situations that kind of, when it was all put together, made the story of our youth, you know. I think that's what the album is. It does, because it doesn't have a narrative, but there's definitely a kind of sense of self-evolution and it's a very introspective record because it is genuine. It's genuinely me trying to figure out what parts of my personality I'm comfortable with and what parts I'm not. And I think people really relate to it because everyone's the same, whether you're from Denmark or Scotland, or everyone feels the same things, you know. I think that if you're really, really specific about something, really, really specific about a situation, people can really, really relate to it because they idealise the nuance. Our love for music is so all-encompassing and so unrestricted in regards to the way, like my quote of the year is that we create in the same way that we consume, you know, and I think that's a generational thing. We're very much a generational band and consistent with the ideas of that creating music in the same way that you consume it and being a victim of this kind of non-linear consumption of media. And I think that the electronic element of our band is just as relevant as the guitars are. It's just as relevant as anything. I think our love for R&B and house music and everything comes out in that album. And the interludes thing comes from a place that our music's quite cinematic. That was kind of the idea. We wanted the album to be like the soundtrack to a John Hughes film.
I get that.
So I think that those transitions within the record are almost scene changes, you know? There's a big stylistic polarity, but I think in the songs, for me, writing is a way of getting everything out, I suppose, and I think it's very situationist, and it's all based around my life, involved with love, sex, fear, drugs, death, and intoxication due to those things. And that's what the feel of the album is about, and it's lots of different, very specific scenes and stories throughout our life. We basically wanted to make an album that was like John Hughes, the director, you know, the 80s movie director.
I don't know.
He did Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club, all those kind of classic 80s movies. We wanted to write an album that was almost as if the soundtrack to our life, the soundtrack to our movie, you know?
Yeah.
The rectangle, there's so much discussion of what it means now. Everybody's got their own thing.
What does it mean to you?
Is it the four sides representing the four of us? Is it this and that? What it really is the fact that the initial stages of the way that the band came out is that I made really good friends with a guy who ran a clothing company called 40 Ounce, and we became obsessed with a couple of records. We became obsessed with A$AP Rocky, and it was at the time when The Weeknd had just come out, and we were very, very, very into what was going on. And what we wanted was the marketing of the band, not the marketing, but the way the band had an image, is that we loved Chanel. We loved the sleek, classic element to Chanel number 5, and we realised that box hadn't been utilised. It's a simple logo. It's very simple. Yeah. And so, twinned with our knowledge of the music and the lyrics being very conversational and very, very situational, we loved the idea of just having a frame to frame our identity, to frame a situation, and then we started doing things like when we were on tour last, we got a frame made that we have live with us that stays on stage, and it lights up, and we just took that and took it to New York City and left it and you know, like, let people interact with it and took photos. And I think it's about the imposition of our identity on whatever situation. I think that's kind of where it comes from, and now it's just taken on a thing. Our identity is very much concrete, and it was before anybody had ever really heard of the band, so we weren't coming from a place of marketing necessarily when it was coming to the branding of the thing, but our obsession with, you know, we kind of looked at like Chanel and thought like just how clean everything was. Like, it's all about clean lines, and so we just have the box, and I think it was more to do, the black and white was kind of came from not wanting to expose ourselves too much. You know, we'd had 10 years of being in a band. We just wanted to let let the music do the talking kind of thing. And I think that everything just became this, there was a massive synergy between the way that we presented ourselves visually and musically. And it was kind of,
it's nice to have a consistency across like all aspects of the band, like even live, like the show's just white, you know, there's no colour anywhere.
Yeah,
it's just,
we don't use colour.
Hones everything in, keeps everyone focused.
It's very mysterious.
I think it is, but it's also kind of obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the noir, like the technique of noir. It's like A Tale as Old as Time. Like, I think it's it connotes a lot of classic kind of cool sensibilities as well, doesn't it? You had like a leather jacket and black and white. Well, it was a piece of music that George had started working on this piece of music, and when we both heard it, we listened to it and we thought, yeah, it's quite good, but there's one sound in it that was amazing. We liked the piece of music, there was one sound that we loved. So we decided, when we both listened to it, we were like, that is the sound at the beginning of the album. That's what the beginning of the album is, the sound like. So we just took that sound and then took the vocal layering thing that we do throughout the whole album, you know, the 10 of my vocal making one.
Yes.
We use that across the whole of the album to realise the reason that it's so prominent at the beginning is because there's nothing else there. It's just that sound, a bass, and the vocal, and we just wanted, with like the title, the album's the 1975, the band's the 1975, and the record, the first song's the 1975. It was all about imposing our identity, making sure that we had a really, really coherent view of who we were and what we were doing. So we pretty much took all of the drama, all of the themes, and put them into this really, really minimalist piece of music at the beginning, and that was it.
The City is a love letter to finding yourself in the kind of, like, Manchester or London. If you come from a small town, it's just, and you're young, it's just this baffling cacophony of kind of noise and ideas. And
yeah, it's your kind of like virgin experience in a city when you discover what you can do, and when you first can drive a car and you drive into a city and you're just like...
It's a love letter to that feeling.
But also a kind of feeling you realise you're kind of small and irrelevant at the same time.
We were just really listening to a lot of Prince and stuff like that, so we started working on some kind of just juxtaposing like real organic funk sounds with kind of new school electronic music, I suppose. That's where the Sonics That song comes from, but I think that song's more defined lyrically because it's so... We could talk, all of us, for an hour about what makes money up. It's all about syncopation, it's a song that we love and we could love to talk about, but I think for people to be interested, it's the most self-deprecating, it's the most self-loathing song.
There's a lot of really literal kind of references that you can take as well that immediately conjure up a story.
Exactly. That's not that's not me being metaphorical in that song. That's like...
No, yeah, it's on the whole, yeah, it's just like
quite straight up night out.
If you've experienced those things, you know exactly what that song is about. It's exactly.
It's a bit of a love letter to that first Streets album as well.
Yeah, more.
That's true.
Most.
Original Pirate material. Yeah, it's a good point. It's. I'm very inspired by Mike Skinner and that kind of idea of beat poetry and almost what he calls street poetry. And I think it's cool to talk about what actually happens, and that's what happened in our youth.
Chocolate is, it's kind of a love letter to the kind of small town boredom that we experienced. I think it was obviously with bored police, bored kids, certain interactions kind of ensue, and it was. I never thought about that song as being like a hit record. We never ever projected it, especially for that song. So it's nice that it's been so embraced in that kind of really specific part of our life.
The song's about getting your dick sucked.
That song was us trying to play like computers, though. It wasn't. There's no parts on it that were.
No, we were trying to play loops on our instruments. But that song is me. Again.
It's my favourite lyrics to any of the songs.
Is it? It's one of the strongest. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
That and Menswear.
It's about that's about me being just a polemicist. Me being able to influence the way that people think about me during a conversation through the way that I talk, not necessarily through what I say. I suppose it's about social manipulation, normally to do with girls, which is quite a bad quality. Let's do like Scritti Politti, like Peter Gabriel. Full on pop anthem. Like, we miss those days, man. We miss the days where like credible artists were making pop music So it doesn't really happen anymore. Like Phil Collins on Face Value or Peter Gabriel on So, Paul Simon on Graceland. They are just amazing pop arrangements that were so like revered and critically acclaimed. And
there wasn't any rules for those albums, I don't think either.
I think because it was so experimental at the time, like in regards to they were producing it, we just wanted to make a record that made us feel like, I don't know, I want to dance with somebody, or like, you know, those kind of records where they just have that undeniable vibe.
Yeah, it's the kind of, you're not worrying about dignified parts almost, you're just worrying about the overall
feeling
song,
of it.
The undeniable song.
Yeah.
And Robbers was just a dream that I had. I was obsessed with True Romance, the movie. The two totally different worlds as well, like the EPs and the albums. The album's like an 80s movie, the EPs are totally different. But yeah, so I fell asleep and I had this really dramatic dream about a kind of Bonnie and Clyde situation where this girl was so excited, so turned on by her boyfriend, her bank robbing boyfriend, you know, Natural Born Gangster.
Yeah.
And they just gone on a rampage. And it became this whole metaphor for the relationship I was in. It's quite a sad song, but it's nice.
Yeah,
I like you look so cool.
The ending,
yeah.
well, when you say like everybody's dead. I really like that part.
Yeah, because everyone's dead. There's blood everywhere.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about lyrics? Is it actually the end is like baby looks so cool or so cool? Cool? Okay.
She looks at him and she's covered in blood and everyone's dead and she says he looks so cool.
That, I was like, what is it? Because it could be...
it's my accent, but yeah, it's cool.
Everything feels totally wrong. It's too...
I mean,
it's so pop.
We're not a pop band.
We're not a pop band, and it feels like a really pop video. The whole scenario is not really what we're about. It needs to be black and white.
Girls is a lot of fun for our band. I think it's one of those songs that's like...
We had no idea what we'd done when we'd written it.
We didn't know, when we wrote it, we were like, have we written our best song? Or is this just so...
Two heterosexuals not playing this.
Is it like really, really like the campest song ever? Is it like... We didn't know in the original days. Because the original demo came around and it was very playful for our band. But then, as soon as it got juxtaposed, which seems to be my word of the day in this album, like with a narrative and a lyrical idea that was a bit more dour, a bit more sinister. It really worked. And it was, I think, and the only reason we think that is because it was the first time we'd gone, here's a guitar and a chord as what we're doing for our band. We don't really do that. Every guitar has been, all our guitars are very influenced by like either kind of like 80s funk and 70s funk or like Kevin Shields by My Bloody Valentine. There's not a lot of chords going on. Girls is a straight up song. It's like Young Girl, you know, young girl, get out of my mind. That's what I wanted to do. It's good, and that's our version of that song. I think Shui Out is born from our love of disco, Donna Summer kind of vibes. It still fades out, doesn't it? It fades out at the end, and that was because, like, you know, like Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. Once that song starts, like the Fall to the Floor, you can't stop that song. Certain songs that can't stop because it just totally lose everything. And that's one of the songs with Shui Out. It felt like this kind of like train of like disco ideas from kind of Michael Jackson to Donna Summer, and it's about, I suppose it's about girls that can't dance, but with every song there's so many different kind of levels of what it's about. But yeah, Shui Out's about moving, but you just can't move that girl in the club. It's a story about a fight at a wedding that happened. Pressure is a song about my relationship with the world that I was kind of brought up in. My parents are involved in the media. And I grew up in a world where you're quite exposed. Everyone's quite exposed. And there's an element of pressure on you as a person, not necessarily as a professional. And it's about how that idea has affected me and my family.
It's a sad song, that is. We'd finished the album last year. Well, beginning of this year, we'd kind of
recorded the majority of it, and then we'd spent the whole of this year just getting it right. And we went to America, but about a month ago we got back and we realised that there was one element of the album that was missing, and it was a really kind of raw moment. And in the time that this band's got popular, I don't talk loads about my personal life, but for example, my parents have separated and we've sold my family house, the house that we started out in as a band, and I've got a little brother who still lives there, and yeah, I don't get to see him anymore. We haven't been home since we were home in January, and then we went back for a couple of days at the beginning of June, and now we don't really go home until December. So it's just a song of me hoping that there's somebody to watch my little brother.